There comes a time when you stop explaining yourself, you stop begging, you stop waiting for someone to act right, you stop giving energy to people who don't respect your value. That time is now. Some of you are sitting here wondering why they won't change, why they won't see your worth, why they keep playing games with your heart and your mind. Let me tell you something, ain't nothing gonna change until you change. Most people don't understand the weight of silence. They think words hold all the power, that arguments, explanations, and long speeches will make someone understand. But let me tell you something, silence is louder than anything you could ever say. When you stop calling, when you stop explaining, when you stop showing up for someone who took you for granted, it forces them to sit alone with their thoughts. And that's when the real lesson begins. See, when you argue, when you plead, when you try to make them see your worth, they don't hear you. They tune you out, they roll their eyes, they tell themselves you're overreacting. But when you remove yourself, when you vanish without a word, that's when they start to feel it. They check their phone and see nothing. No missed calls, no texts, no notifications from you. At first, they don't care. They think you'll come back like you always do. They assume you're just upset and that you'll break the silence first. But then a day passes, then 2, then a week. And suddenly they're wondering why you're so quiet. They're replaying old conversations in their head. They're asking themselves, did I push too far? Did I lose them for good? Because silence creates space for self-reflection. And most people, when left alone with their own thoughts, don't like what they find. They start to realize what they lost. They start to see the patterns. They remember the way you showed up for them, the way you cared, the way you gave them chances over and over again. And now all of that is gone. No words, no explanation, just absence. That's when the regret kicks in. That's when they start questioning everything. That's when they wish they had appreciated you before you left, because silence is uncomfortable. It forces people to face themselves. And when you choose to say nothing at all, you say everything they need to hear. People only value what they can't easily access. The truth is, when you make yourself too available, when you give too much of yourself without limits, people start taking you for granted. It's human nature. They assume you'll always be there, that no matter how they treat you, you'll keep showing up. But the moment you step back, the moment you stop responding, the moment you create distance, everything shifts. At first, they might not notice. They might think you're just busy, caught up in life. But when your absence stretches from hours to days, from days to weeks, they start to feel it. And that feeling, that's the realization that they never truly appreciated you when they had you. Because when something is always within reach, it's easy to overlook. But when it's gone, that's when the value becomes clear. Distance forces people to make a choice. Either they step up and meet you where you deserve to be met, or they let you go. And either way, you win. Because you are no longer settling for less than you deserve. You are no longer begging for attention or fighting for a place in someone's life. You are teaching them, without a single word, that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. And here's the real kicker. Distance doesn't just make them see your value, it makes you see it too. Because the more space you create, the more you realize how much of yourself you were pouring into someone who never deserved it. You start to see how much energy you wasted trying to prove your worth, when in reality, your worth was never something that needed proving. Distance doesn't just make them respect you, it makes you respect yourself. Your energy is sacred. Your time, your attention, your love, it's all energy. And energy is valuable. But too many people waste it on the wrong ones. They give and give, hoping that one day the other person will finally appreciate them, finally reciprocate, finally wake up. But let me ask you something. How long are you going to keep pouring into someone who only takes? How long are you going to exhaust yourself trying to fill a cup that has a hole in the bottom? When you stop giving your energy to someone who treats you like an option, something incredible happens. First, you feel lighter. All that stress, all that wondering, all that overthinking, it starts to fade. Because you're no longer trying to figure out how to be enough for someone who was never meant for you. You realize that their inability to see your worth had nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. And then you take all that energy you wasted on them and start pouring it back into yourself. You start focusing on your own growth, your own peace, your own happiness. You stop looking for validation from someone else because you realize you were always enough. You stop chasing love from someone who never deserved it and start cultivating love within yourself. And here's the most powerful part. When you protect your energy, you start attracting people who respect it. You stop settling for bare minimum effort. You stop entertaining people who make you question your worth. You stop allowing half-hearted love in your life because now you know better. Now you know that your energy is sacred and you will never waste it on the wrong one again. You don't need to explain your worth. You don't need to argue, prove a point, or beg someone to see your value. The way you carry yourself, the way you move, the way you remove yourself from situations that no longer serve you, that is the message. That is the lesson. Too many people waste their time trying to make someone understand what they lost. They send long texts trying to explain their feelings. They go back and forth in arguments, hoping that if they just say the right thing, the other person will finally get it. But let me tell you something. If they didn't appreciate you when they had you, your words won't change a thing. They didn't hear you before, and they won't hear you now. But silence, walking away, elevating your life without them, that's something they can't ignore. When you stop chasing, when you stop explaining, when you stop allowing access to your life, you force them to see what life looks like without you in it. And trust me, at some point they will notice. They'll notice when their phones stay silent, when they don't hear from you anymore, when they see you thriving without them. They'll notice when you're no longer an option, when you're no longer waiting, when you're no longer available to be treated as an afterthought. And that's when they'll feel the weight of their own choices. Because people don't learn through words. They learn through experience. They learn when they lose access to something they once took for granted. They learn when they see you moving forward without them, glowing, growing, and becoming everything they never thought you would be. And by then, it's too late. So don't waste your breath trying to convince someone to treat you right. Don't waste your energy trying to make them see your value. Just move differently. Just elevate. Just disappear from their life and focus on your own. Because in the end, your growth will speak louder than anything you could ever say. Rebuild, refocus, redirect. When you walk away, don't just sit there waiting for them to notice. Don't waste your time checking your phone, wondering when they'll realize what they lost. That's not your job. Your job is to rebuild yourself, to refocus your energy, to redirect your attention to what truly matters, you. This is your moment, your chance to turn all that pain, all that disappointment, all that frustration into fuel. It's time to hit the gym. It's time to level up in your career. It's time to start that business, take that trip, chase that dream you've been putting on hold for too long. Because here's the truth. They thought you needed them. They thought you wouldn't be able to move on, that you would sit there waiting, hoping, longing for them to come back. Prove them wrong. Show them that losing them was the best thing that ever happened to you. When you focus on yourself, when you pour all that energy back into your own growth, something amazing happens. You start feeling lighter, stronger, more powerful. You stop worrying about what they're doing, who they're with, if they miss you, because you're too busy building a life so good, so fulfilling, so beautiful that they become irrelevant. And let me tell you something, when they finally look up and see what you've become, when they realize they had someone amazing and let them slip through their fingers, it's going to hit them harder than anything you could have ever said. But by then, it won't even matter because you'll be too far ahead to care. They will come back, but you won't care. It always happens. At some point, they will come back. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day when you least expect it, they'll reach out. They'll send that, "Hey, how have you been?" text. They'll start watching your stories again. They'll suddenly have a reason to check in, to see how you're doing, to remind you that they still exist. Why? Because people don't realize what they had until it's gone. They don't miss your presence until they're forced to live without it. They don't appreciate your love until they can't feel it anymore. And when that reality hits them, when they see you thriving, when they see you happy, when they see you unbothered, that's when they start to panic. They'll come back with apologies, with excuses, with memories of the good times, trying to pull you back in. They'll try to convince you that they've changed, that they see your worth now, that they want another chance. But here's the thing, you won't need them anymore. Because by the time they come back, you will have healed, you will have grown, you will have created a life so full, so joyful, so rich in love and self-respect that their presence is no longer necessary. The same person you once cried over, the same person who made you question your worth, will now be nothing more than a lesson you outgrew. And that is the most powerful moment of all. Not the moment they come back, but the moment you realize you don't even care anymore, because the version of you they once knew is gone. And the person you become, they'll never have access to them again. Revenge isn't about getting even. It's not about making them feel the same pain they put you through. It's not about proving a point to someone who didn't see your worth when they had the chance. The best revenge is success. It's becoming so unshakable, so confident, so untouchable that their absence doesn't even matter anymore. At first, it might sting, the silence, the space they left behind, the memories that keep replaying in your mind. But pain is temporary. What you do with that pain, though, that's what defines you. You can sit there and dwell on what they did, or you can turn that pain into power. Use it as fuel. Let it push you forward instead of holding you back. Start investing in yourself. Hit the gym. Not for them, not to make them regret losing you, but because you deserve to feel strong, confident, and unstoppable. Work on your goals, your career, your dream. Build a kind of life that excites you every morning. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who celebrate you, who remind you of your worth. Because here's what happens when you do this. One day, without even realizing it, you wake up and realize that you no longer care. You won't wonder if they miss you. You won't be waiting for their texts. You won't even flinch when you hear their name, because you'll be too busy winning, too busy thriving, too busy living the kind of life that makes them wish they had treated you better when they had the chance. And trust me, they will notice. They'll see you glowing, growing, leveling up in ways they never expected. And that's when it will hit them that they lost something special, that they took you for granted, that they had a chance and they blew it. But by then it won't even matter, because you'll be too focused on your own success to care. The best thing you can do for yourself after walking away is to elevate in every single way. There is no need for revenge, no need for bitterness, no need to prove anything to anyone. Just become the absolute best version of yourself. When you do that, everything else falls into place. The pain fades, the questions disappear. The person you used to be, the one who waited, begged, hoped for change, no longer exists. This is your time to shift your focus. Stop looking at them. Stop checking if they notice your absence. Stop wondering if they regret losing you. That's not your concern anymore. Your only focus now should be you. Because while you were pouring all your energy into them, you forgot about yourself. You forgot that you have dreams to chase, goals to accomplish, a life to live. Now you take all that energy and redirect it. Start showing up for yourself the way you used to show up for them. Get back in the gym, not for them, not for revenge, but because you deserve to feel strong and confident. Start pursuing your passions, your career, your ambitions. Work on your mind, your health, your peace. Elevate so high that the version of you they once knew no longer exists. That's how you move on. That's how you heal. And here's the truth. When you start living for yourself, when you become focused, disciplined, and unbothered, that's when they'll notice. They'll see the glow up, the confidence, the peace radiating from you, and that's when the regret will hit them. They'll realize what they lost, what they took for granted, what they thought would always be there. But by then, you won't even be looking back, because you'll be too busy living the life you always deserved. At first, it feels like you lost something, like a part of you is missing, like you're leaving behind something familiar, even if it wasn't good for you. But the truth is, when you walk away from someone who didn't value you, you aren't losing anything. You're gaining yourself back. And that's the most powerful thing you can do. The process isn't easy. Growth never is. You're going to have moments where you wonder if you made the right choice. Moments where the loneliness creeps in, where the memories feel too strong, where you start questioning whether they ever really cared. That's normal. But you have to understand, growth is uncomfortable. It stretches you. It forces you to confront things you were avoiding. It pushes you beyond the version of yourself that tolerated less than you deserved. This is when you focus on becoming better, stronger, wiser. You take all that energy you once gave to them and invest it back into yourself. You start reading more, learning more, evolving into the person you were always meant to be. You set new standards, not just for relationships, but for every aspect of your life. You start expecting more, demanding more, giving yourself more. And as you grow, something interesting happens. The version of you that once craved their validation, their attention, their love, that version starts to fade. The things you used to tolerate, they no longer interest you. The pain they cause, it no longer affects you. And before you know it, you look back and realize you've outgrown them. The person you are now wouldn't even recognize the person who begged for their love. And when they finally try to come back to see if they still have a place in your life, they'll be met with silence. Because the truth is, they were never on your level to begin with. You just had to grow enough to see it. When you walk away and choose yourself, something powerful happens. At first, you feel the absence. You notice the quiet, the space where they used to be. But then something even greater replaces it. Peace. No more second guessing. No more waiting for a reply. No more questioning where you stand with someone who never made you a priority. Just peace. At first, you might not recognize it. You've been so used to the highs and lows, the emotional roller coaster, the constant need for validation. But as the days go by, you start feeling lighter. You start waking up without that weight on your chest. You start realizing how much mental and emotional energy you wasted trying to make someone see your worth when you never had to prove it to begin with. Peace isn't loud. It doesn't come with fireworks or grand moments. It's in the small things. It's in waking up and feeling calm. It's in no longer checking your phone, waiting for them to care. It's in focusing on yourself without wondering if they're watching. It's in being present, in finding joy in your own company, in rediscovering who you are without their influence. And here's the thing. Peace is the one thing they will never have, because the ones who take people for granted, who play games, who manipulate and mistreat, they don't know peace. They thrive on control, on attention, on knowing they still have a hold on you. But when you take that away, when you truly detach, move on, and live your life without them, that's when they feel the loss. That's when they realize they no longer have access to your energy. And by then, it won't even matter. Because real victory isn't proving a point. It's not making them jealous. It's not even watching them regret losing you. Real victory is finding your peace and protecting it at all costs. And once you have it, you'll never let anyone take it from you again. So now the choice is yours. You can stay stuck, waiting for someone to realize your worth, or you can walk away and become everything they never thought you would be. You can waste time explaining, proving, convincing, or you can let your silence and success do the talking. Because in the end, the best thing you can do is elevate so high that their absence feels like nothing more than a distant memory. Focus on yourself, protect your energy, build a life so full, so powerful, so peaceful that the people who once took you for granted become irrelevant. And when they finally look back, when they finally realize what they lost, when they finally try to return, let them watch from a distance, because you've already moved on and there's no looking back.